Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Craig, use that call the roll, please. Here.
Polchowski.
Present.
Here. Becky Marsh. Here. John Mallon.
Present. Okay, Chief, I think we have some changes to the agenda. Is that right?
We do. Item number 4 on the regular agenda was a carryover. So that should be eliminated. We've already done the election.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. And we somewhat almost did a presentation, but Chief, I'm going to turn it over to you to do this right now.
All right.
Make it official.
Mr. Chairman, seriously, I think it would been inappropriate for us to do with less than the biggest audience that we could assemble. As you know, last year, this was actually kicked off by retired Chief Mark Miller, the Pulse Point program. He did that, and then we went into COVID, and unfortunately, it didn't get the response, obviously, during that period of time. We relaunched this again in conjunction with our partners at Thompson Valley EMS, as well as Berkeley Fire, as well as the Police Department. So we did that on, I think it was close to February 14th. We did a proclamation. We're set up to do that again. So Pulse Point being that app on your phone that if you're in close proximity, a quarter mile, and trained of someone having a medical emergency cardiac arrest, it will alert you and tell you where the closest proximity AED is. I was informed that we had a response. I get an email every time we have a CPR event in the city and a Pulse Point alert. I got that response, but then I got a subsequent email that said there was a retired firefighter who actually acted upon that. His name was Tom Vale. Doesn't make sense. Now, I didn't know that Tom was a retired firefighter. Tom is actually a member of FRAC. I totally missed it, as did a number of members in FRAC that did the interviews. We absolutely missed that Tom was a retired firefighter. So I came into FRAC and I announced that we had somebody who responded to a CPR, and their name, Tom, I'm sorry, their name is Tom Vale. I know, not you. He said, no, it was me. So to say I felt about this big and embarrassed, is to say the least, but in all seriousness, Tom, if you can come up, this is a big deal for us to have this app for a year. Fortunately, he obviously was a retired firefighter, not from Loveland, but the fact that he took action, that takes courage, regardless of whether you're a firefighter or not, to go from a civilian position and take action for a fellow citizen is a pretty remarkable thing. And we want to kind of use Tom as that marquee person to hopefully get the rest of our community to take action when they receive an alert. So Tom, I've only given, this will be my third since being the fire chief. So it's the Fire Chief's Community Life Safety Award awarded to Tom Vale in recognition of your courageous actions on November 13th, 2023 at 614 Nicolette Drive. Your quick and decisive actions in response to a life-threatening emergency provided a citizen of our community with a second chance at life. Loveland Fire Rescue Authority and the citizens of Loveland, Colorado, thank you for your remarkable actions this 31st day of January 2024. All right. We realize that these are small tokens, but the point is hopefully those words, the meaning of those words, they come from the heart and they represent this organization. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Tom, you look too young to be retired.
Yes.
We're hiring now, you know.
So retired is retired from volunteer firefighting for 10 years.
All right.
I would love to be a career firefighter, but the lifestyle I live doesn't quite match the pay. So I have a nice successful career as well. So that's, you know, I moved to Loveland, volunteer wasn't an option, so I had to retire from it, so.
So thanks for
Easier
your
way to
service.
say it than, you know, former firefighters.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one additional. There's a gentleman sitting behind him trying to hide. Matt Ledbetter is our newest hire. He is a HR assistant. Matt, you want to come up? I don't want to put you on the spot. We give you a chance to introduce yourself. This is his second day, so he's got a lot of seniority. So go ahead, floor is yours.
I'm Matt. It's good to meet all of you. I mostly recently worked for a large global company, MKS, but decided I wanted to do a little bit more in my community. So I was attracted to LFRA. And before that, I actually worked with Superbag in their HR department. So you guys work closely with them. But it's great to meet you all, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Thanks, Matt. We're gonna try to use him to get a better deal on fire truck. Stay late, right? Thank you.
Okay, before I open up for public comment, I'd be remiss if we didn't recognize City Manager Steve Adams for his many years of service, not only to the community, but the fire rescue in particular. You've been a friend to the authority, and we've put you in difficult positions numerous times, having to wear a hat representing the city and representing us, and you've done a tremendous job, Steve. So we very much appreciate it. Look forward to your success wherever life may take you from here. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, I'd like to open it up for public comment.
I'm not exactly the public.
Come on.
First, I want to say I'm sorry I'm not there in person. I've got COVID and I decided not to share that with all of you. But I regret that I'm not there in person today because Steve, I would have liked to say goodbye to you in person. You've been lovely to work with. So I did want to take the opportunity to make that remark at some point in the meeting, and this seemed like a good enough point. So,
Thank you, Emily.
thank you.
Back to public comment. Is there anybody else online or public comment? Paul?
Not too much, Deb. We did have a great opportunity a week and a half ago on Saturday. And we had a good turnout from FRAC to get the first on the scene training. So we did that for 4 hours on a Saturday morning, and it was very well received. And hopefully one day, hopefully and not hopefully, we could put that into practice if we had to.
Well, we appreciate what Frank does, and you here representing them. So thank you. And of course, it's great to see all of our firefighters here. Thank you for all you do as well. And don't be afraid to speak up. We love hearing from you.
Chairman,
Quick.
I do have one comment.
Yes.
Has their hand raised. I'm going to allow them to talk. Craig, you can speak now.
Craig, you're on mute.
You are muted.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to say thank you to Steve from Local 3566. And yeah, I know sometimes your support was hard and not popular, but the employees of the fire department really appreciate you. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. Okay, other comments? As a quick reminder, they're having a Martin Luther King celebration at Mountain View High School this evening. Doors open at 6. Program starts at 6:30. It's a great program, so if you can be there and support the community, it'd be great to see anybody there that can make it. The chief, that takes us into our consent agenda. Is there anything anybody'd like to pull from it?
I was gonna ceremoniously pull everything. Then I saw it better.
I think we have public comment.
Yeah. Good move.
Yeah. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Everybody have a chance to review prior minutes, questions, comments on them?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Take us into our regular agenda. And as the chief already said, we're going to skip over number 4, that's already occurred. Take us to number 5, to consider a public hearing, consider a motion to adopt resolution R163, adopting a supplemental budget regarding the appropriation of monies to and expenditure of monies from LFRA Fleet Replacement Fund or LFRA, State of Colorado, calendar year beginning first day of January 24, ending last day of December 24. Would somebody make a motion to that effect? Is there a second?
Second.
Further comment? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Emily?
Yep, and I will certify for the record that notice of today's public hearing was duly published and as required by law, and the authority received no public comments prior to today's hearing.
Okay, once again, we'll open it up for public comment. They're a quiet bunch. Nothing online, I take it. Without any further comments from the public, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
That was Craig typing.
Okay.
I'm sorry. he was-
I heard a first and a second. You said Paul on the first, who's on the second?
Be second.
Mayor, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
For a second,
Second that.
further conversation? Hearing none, motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Okay, chief, 6 and 7, do we need to do either of those? We just,
So we do need to do 6 and 7. Item 5 was appropriating the funds. And so now we're able to approve the contracts.
okay, is there any particular language I need to use, or do we just want a motion to approve?
Just a motion to approve. Then I think we'll need your signature.
That can be had. Okay, consider a motion to approve a contract for replacement type 1 fire engine. First of all, any questions for the chief or the board there? Hearing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Takes us to 7, consider motion to approve a contract for replacement rescue apparatus. Same question, any comments there, questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll accept a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
If I can just make a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
On behalf of all 121 owners, this is a big deal. So we appreciate it. We know it's a big ask at a very tough time for our community. It's certainly a generous contribution from the rurals. And I don't want it to escape this opportunity to say thank you personally and to the city. We understand the commitment that you're putting forth during these difficult times, and our eye is on the ball to continue to support the city and all of our team members within the city. So thank you for looking out for us, but we will look out for the city just as well. To our rural partners, to the taxpayers who gave us this opportunity.
Thank you, Chief. We'll certainly pass that on to the rural board. You get a chance to do it as well. And yeah, I thought it was super too, if I could just take the liberty of commenting on it. I like to say it's easy to spend other people's money, and we are spending the taxpayers' money. But still, it was a huge step, and I think all the right decisions were made for all the right reasons. And if it was something the public was voting on, they would second everything that we've done here, because the fire authority deserves it. Thank you, all the men and women of the fire authority. Okay, that will take us to number 8, conduct a public hearing. And consider a motion to adopt resolution R 166, adopting a supplemental budget regarding the appropriation of monies to and expenditure of monies from the LFRA General Fund and the LFRA Fleet Replacement Fund and LFRA Capital Projects Fund for the Loveland Fire Rescue Authority, State of Colorado, calendar year beginning first day of January 24 and ending on the last day of December 24. So again, I'll ask for a motion there, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I screwed up on that, didn't I, Emily?
No, you're good. You've got the public meeting opened, and I will just certify for the record that notice of this public hearing also was duly published as required by law. The authority also received no public comment prior to today's public hearing.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Without any further comments from the public, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries again. Any comments there, Chief?
Just clarification, originally I thought it was, we copied and pasted, the added verbiage in there is, the capital project. So what this is carryover, start the project in 2023, do not finish it, so you carry it over. And that's what this is reflective of. So covering projects that we started in 2023, that weren't completed in the calendar year.
Okay. And that's gonna take us to number 9. I don't know if this was gonna be included in part of your conversation. I know we were also gonna discuss the 360. Is that gonna be part of your, all that?
Yeah, if you want to just turn it over to me and I'll give it to Andrew.
Yeah, that'd be good. Why don't we just do it there? Thank you.
Fair enough.
So I'm still working on it. We have to add it to our contract with UKG, the portion, it's called Employee Voice with UKG, and it's still going through the routing process at the city, as we're under the parent company of the city's account. So we're a sub company of the city, so it has to go through the city's process. So as of last week, it was still going through that process, so I haven't been able to get into it yet.
When do you expect some resolution? We started this conversation in September. It's gonna be February here in a couple days. So what's the plan there?
As soon as the city gets it signed, then we can get it started. We changed the date to February 1st to start instead of January 1, because we were expecting to have it signed and processed on January 1.
One of the other things, if I might,
Sure.
Jeff, we were gonna discuss and get some questions and make sure that the mechanics of it are gonna fit what we wanna do with the 360, including who gets the data back raw, who gets the process data, that whole thing. So once that contract is signed, I just wanna make sure I understand it. So once that contract is signed, then we move to those pieces?
Then we can move to the pieces. Could the data, the questions are in there, so I need to be able to get in there and look at it.
Okay, so
And then
that's-
Emily and I have talked too about.
so that's the gating factor is getting there and then, cool, thank you for your clarification.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, Chief, turn back over to you.
Chief Dan had a presentation prior to this.
Okay,
The
you did
little-
step down. We'll pick her up
Okay,
on the back
perfect.
end. Okay, I'll be brief. Chair. As we've done and for the mayor and Council Mallow, this is something I put on every presentation is to recognize the correspondence that I receive. I can't tell you, I mean, we do a portion of them, but these are what it means to be a fire chief right here. This is a young gal who just came by the station and one of our firefighters took it upon themselves to engage. This is a special needs child. Let her help with the morning check. And this is actually a video, not here, but they sent me,
It is a video.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know if we have sound, but It's just, the fact of the matter is this young lady's response afterwards, and the firefighter is not stopping anything. It's literally just basically creating a training opportunity to engage a member of our public. This is truly what it means to be a firefighter and serve the community. So I think it's important that we recognize our folks, and again, just it exemplifies the professionalism of this organization. So then mom and dad sent a thank you letter to us on her behalf. So pretty cool deal. This also exemplifies the professionalism of the organization. I'll remind you that I was the only one that had this credential, and I simply asked this organization to buy into this as our new career matrix. We now have 9 people who are professionally credentialed. This is not a one-time go get a certification. This is over the course of a career that you accomplish this. These are the latest 2 that have achieved this, and we have a couple others that are in the hopper. But what we said is we want to get it all the way through our officer ranks. So Battalion Chief Goodell achieved his fire officer credential, and Lieutenant Chapin achieved his fire officer credential as well. This goes down, you can go down a career or a degree track, or your experience coupled with certifications along the way. But it truly forces the individual to go down a diversified track, to be a well-rounded officer. You can't just take a singular track and achieve this. So I wanted to recognize those 2 for their accomplishments. I also want to express my thanks to the members of the board that were able to attend our badge pinning. This is that annual event that we do every year. To the city manager, I acknowledge we had 2 absences, which tells you something. Chief Ward and Chief Smith were absent due to COVID. So obviously they're the ones that are long-winded, because I was able to pull this off in 60 minutes or less. So, but it's a pretty proud moment for us to be able to recognize our folks on a stage on an annual basis. So we try to capture every picture. I should also recognize that we did recognize retired board member Ball and Fogel as well. All right, real quickly, just the chief's report. I want to remind you that we have a retreat set up for both boards coming together to discuss the fire district transition, or a transition to a fire district. That is February 15th at 9 o'clock. If you would allow us, I would like to change the location from here to Station 10, if that's okay with the group. I think 10's is a little bit better environment for us to conduct it. So we'll send out the revised calendar invite on that. Again, thank you for the badge pinning, those of you that were able to attend. My apologies to City Manager Adams for such expeditious. Sorry, I'm getting my gigs in on your last day.
I know, yeah, you're giving me dig. I thought I was gonna come in at halftime and you guys are all done. So
You got your cookies, so I did see it.
history of 7 years.
I did see the cookies, so.
I'm all right.
Hiring process, we introduced our new human resources assistant, so that's very exciting. FRFC firefighters, we have 3 in the academy, which they started their pre-academy. They will be joining 47, it'll be a total of 47, so 44 others from the 12 other agencies or 11 other agencies. So it's a big academy, but we'll have 3 in there. We were hoping for 4, but 1 dropped out at the last minute. Wildfire program coordinator, Andrea is working on this. We're trying to tighten that up as far as the job description. We will post that. That will be one of the first positions we put on with the funding that the rural board has provided us. That is going to be the coordinator that will be stationed out of Station 8 and will basically coordinate our wildland mitigation program, our wildfire mitigation program. So very, very excited about that program. Grants, Colorado disease prevention, we weren't successful on this. This is more focused on some smaller agencies, but we were looking to go down the path of sleep studies as an opportunity. When we did our assessment of the organization, not surprisingly, firefighters had trouble sleeping. So I think it would be inappropriate for us to dismiss that without trying to find some degree of remedy for that. So we were looking to apply for a grant to bring somebody in to discuss methods to improve your sleep as firefighters. So we're working on that, no guarantees. If we aren't successful here, we will continue to keep that topic at the forefront. Regional AFG grant. This is one of the advantages that I want to speak to in regards to the FRFC. By us hosting the FRFC Academy at our training center, it opens us up to regional opportunities. When you have 12 letters accompanying a grant application, the odds of someone just passing over is pretty slim. So what we're going to do is we're going to capitalize on the FRFC and look at basically subsidizing our training props. There'll be mobile props. So where we can't bring a company down to the training center, we would take the props to them. So for example, if you got a new firefighter coming in, they need to train on forcible entry. Instead of the whole company having to come to the training center, we take the prop to them. They use it for their shift, and then we pick it up, take it back to the training center. Next week, Front Range uses it, and so on and so forth. So a little more diversity to our training program, and a little bit more opportunity for our firefighters to engage with like props. Mitigation grant, yes.
Where does that grant come out of?
That comes out of the federal government, the United States Fire Administration. Yeah, it's 350 million, but it's nationwide. Probably the most popular grant program in the fire.
When do they make the decision? Just out of curiosity.
So it just opened January 29th. It'll close in the month of February. I don't know the exact date, but September is the earliest we would know.
And once, let's say, we make that cut, when do you get the finances to do that?
January.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
You're okay. Well, thank you.
It's a federal project.
Got it.
I don't want to go down that path of federal projects of late. So, mitigation grants. I received a phone call at 8:30 last night in regards to some county funding that we're going to receive. Actually, I'm moving ahead. Let me go to the mitigation grants. The COCO code swap. That's a different grant. We just were awarded $70,000 through that. That is a Big Thompson Watershed Coalition, a partnership that we created. We put in for this grant, we were denied, and then we basically revisited it and got awarded $70,000. So what that will do is our 3 top priority areas identified in our CWPP. That's Waltonia Road, that's Pinewood and Storm Mountain. Those 3 will be receiving funding for mitigation. So that'll be our focal point directly out of the CWPP. So it is funded to do that mitigation work. Colorado State Forestry Service interns. This is a new program that we're basically putting our names in a hat. This is a creative program. Nobody else is doing this from this perspective. We have put in for 2 interns, and it looks like we're going to get them. We had 9 applications in the first day. I don't know total applications, but we will start that interview process next week. So that's kind of exciting. So the objective is we would get 2 interns that would support our mitigation crew stationed out of Station 8. So it actually adds additional hands, and these folks are studying mitigation. That's their degree that they're pursuing. They will spend 6 weeks with us, and then it will go over to the west side to another organization, not a fire department, to basically do the other 6 weeks of the 12-week program. We're the only ones doing this, so it's pretty exciting. We're breaking ground. This is kind of the workforce development program, and this is where I was premature. I got a call last night of $8,500 that will cover those interns. So they do receive a salary. It's minimal, obviously, but we received money from the county. They are going to support that. So it'll be basically LFRA will be whole on that. No expenses on our part. One of the things that, and I'm going to announce this in front of the crews, this is part of my station visits. We're going to try a program, and I'm putting it in the captain and lieutenant's hands out at Station 10. We want to venture down a path of a potential live-in program of those 6 weeks. Because housing expenses for students is so extreme, there's a potential that we would house those 2 for 6 weeks at Station 10. Now, I've told the crews very openly, this is your fire station. I want it to be comfortable for you. Bringing in outside guests is always a nervous situation, but we'll have that continual discussion, but it's in their hands. Professional development, I shared with you the two designations of Alex and Jason. Again, I want to congratulate them. Once again, I'm flying solo, so I'm going to try to go through Chief Ward's presentation. And they're down at the training center. They're going through the ISO program or supporting the Incident Safety Officer program because we're training a number of our folks throughout the region to be incident safety officers. That was a direct result of the accreditation process. Connecting the station and crews, and I know Chief Dan's going to do a brief presentation here in a second, so she can elaborate on this slide. This is part of her crew and the connection to the operational workforce. So I'll let her elaborate here in just a second. I know it looks like a pretty standard fire truck that you've seen many times, but this is the final inspection of our latest engine, which I believe is now in service at Station 3. Looks identical, which it should. And by the way, it is red because it's a fire truck. So we're very excited to get that. That was on the replacement program. I think it was close to 2 years to receive that one as well. Again, just our folks doing what they do best. This is a Christmas teddy bear exchange with Thompson Valley EMS. And this is CPR training. The photo on the right is our folks supporting Thompson Valley EMS in teaching CPR at the high school. And this is part of the objective that we're pursuing is nobody will graduate from a high school in our community without having FOTS. So we do CPR right now. Our goal is to take it up to the FOTS level. So that would be a pretty good accomplishment for us.
Chief, what's your goal for that? I mean, time wise, when we.
I mean, by rights, the true curriculum is 15 people per FOTS program. Hopefully, I don't think it's that regimented. It's not that difficult of a course. And I'll let Paul elaborate. I mean, CPR is probably the most detailed part of it. The rest of it's pretty straightforward. And if we can get kids to understand how to assist in administration and effort in Narcan and control the bleed, I think that is going to serve them very well. So this is an unfortunate event. I think most of you heard about this. This was a residential fire that we had just before Christmas. 2 days before Christmas, we had one of our residents perish in this fire, despite the aggressive efforts of the crews involved. So one of those events that we never want to talk about, but it does occur. So subsequently, we are planning what is called a fire blitz in this neighborhood. So what that means is obviously we lost one of our citizens. We want to prevent that in the future. One of the residents could not get out. I'll just kind of reveal something to you. It was an illegally converted garage into living space. It is incredibly common, not only in our community, but all across the country, especially with housing costs. This is the kind of stuff we're going to run into. So one of the things we're going to do is go into basically a couple block area of that residence and do a fire blitz. We do door hangers, put those door hangers on the doors of all those residents, informing them that there was a fire in their community. And here's an opportunity. You call us, we'll come do a home inspection or a fire smoke detector installation. It gives us an opportunity to engage with those folks who had trauma within their community and hopefully prevent it in the future. And I should say Home Depot has taken this on as a project and supplied us all the smoke detectors. On Christmas, this was, and Jonathan, if you can help me, I think you were on this. Wasn't this a sprinkler save?
It was actually a pipe that burst that put it up. It
Yeah.
wasn't actually sprinkler, but.
You don't need to put it that way. It was a sprinkler, just.
Just say yes.
Okay.
Chief, we did have a sprinkler save last week.
We did have a sprinkler save, Cap. I rolled it to you.
Honesty is best
But the point,
All right.
this was three of our local businesses were directly affected by this fire. Again, the crews did an outstanding job. I think the photo on the left is one of our partners from Berthoud, and obviously the others are our crew members here in Loveland. So that's it. That's as quick as I could do it.
You're done?
Oh, she can. You're up. Brevity is the rule of the day. For the chairman.
I thought you said I could take it. Where would you like me?
Are we up here?
You want me to sit by you or you want me to stay?
No, you can stay in mine.
Keep no pressure, but we saved the best for last. We'll make it good.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Of course, Mr. Chairman, I'm in the room.
Like you said. Okay, would you, Chrissy, can you put that up or not? Or you're just gonna go with what's in their board packet? No,
It's in your packet, that
Okay.
cover sheet that's in the packet.
it's this?
Fraser will cover that.
Okay, sounds good. So yes, I'm gonna try to be as brief as I can be. I could stand up here and talk for like 2 hours about community safety and what we do. However, I'm not gonna do that. So when I started here in 2011, I remember after my first month, our admin person said, hey, would you give me your stats for last month, what you did? And I'm like, what is that? What am I supposed to do? And she said, well, how many inspections did you do? And I said, I don't know, I could go back and count. She said, just give me an estimate, it's totally fine. And I contrast that with what we do now. And that was not a dig on Loveland Fire and what we did at that time. But in the last 10 to 15 years, like data has become so important with us, not only with accreditation, but number of personnel that we need, hiring and things like that. So, you know, what we do in community safety division has become much more technical. And I liken it to, I like to compare it like to human resources or business and finance. If we put a firefighter in those positions, we would not be as good as we could be. We would not be as successful. And community safety division and what we do has become so much more specialized. Most fire departments are getting citizens and the public, people with degrees and people with plan review background, engineering background, because that is the direction it's going. And, you know, Mr. Adams, you know how political things can be. And we have to know what we are doing. And fortunately, we have a fantastic staff that does a really good job day in and day out. Our job is to keep you guys out of the political spectrum and the hot water. So something that we have really started to do in the past few years is change our monthly and annual statistics of what we give to the board to do a much better job of reflecting what we actually do. You know, in the olden days, fire prevention did annual fire safety inspections of businesses. That was it. That is probably, from a time standpoint, about 5% of what we do now. It's very little. Some people still think that's what we do. It is, but we do a lot more. So I'm just going to do kind of a brief overview here. Speaking of the annual fire inspections, so last year between our annual safety visits, so those are our 3 inspectors. They go to the existing businesses, make sure that they don't have any really critical life safety issues. We did about 741 of those last year, and operational permits, hazmat permits. We have to be in those every year. We charge a fee for those. And so we are there every year doing that. Between those two, we did over 1,000 inspections. If you add together all the inspections we did, new construction inspections, liquor licenses, all these different things, we did 1,940. So almost 2,000 between the 3 inspectors. So they stay busy. While on urban interface, moving to the right, as you know, we adopted a new code for construction hardening, vegetation management, and fences in the wildland area. We had a committee of 25 people, internal and external. Subject matter experts came up with that code adoption for the 2021 International Fire Code. We have right around 15 single-family homes we've reviewed and permitted that they have these beefier requirements in place now. The intent is to, long-term, is to protect from martial fire type incident. I'm actually on the state wildfire resiliency code board, and we are working to do something similar. There's about 25 of us from all over the state, different subject areas, insurance, utilities, fire, architect, building officials, and there are very few jurisdictions in the state that have adopted something like this. So we're at the forefront, and hopefully in 10 to 20 years, whenever we have a fire, because we know it's going to pay dividends. So,
If I could
Yes,
just
sir.
inject on that. So remember, Wilson is our north-south cutoff point. Anything developed west of Wilson is required to comply with this if it's greater than 200 square feet of change in the structure or a new structure. To that end, I think we got better than 4,000 homes being planned west of Wilson So this is gonna be a really, really big lift for LFRA moving forward.
It is. And again, kind of going back to the data and the technical aspect of it, we use the CWPP to help us guide where we were gonna define our movie area. And it wasn't anecdotal, it wasn't like, oh yeah, we had a fire here in the past. We went for fire modeling, fire behavior, topography, what the CWPP showed and what with that. Construction services, this is a lot of what we do. We have 2 full-time plan reviewers that review building and planning department submittals for approval, and then fire protection systems, sprinklers, alarm, kitchen hood systems, radio amplification systems. So last year so Ingrid does the bulk of those. She did 532 of those reviews. David Rhodes, the fire protection system reviews, did 328. That's an all-time high for us. I think the first year we were above 300 reviews for fire protection systems was probably, I think it was 2020 or 2021. So every year we keep creeping up another, 25, 30, 50. So that's going to keep increasing. One of the things we track is the average days in review for fire protection systems. David is right around 4 days to complete the permit submittal, review the drawings, and get the requirements out to the people. Back when the deputy fire marshal, she was a real slacker. Back when she was doing fire protection system reviews as part of her job, as well as everything else, I was averaging about 10.2 days. And our goal is 15 days, so we're still under the 15 days. But that's a huge advantage for us to have one person designated full-time fire protection system reviews. The contractors love it. They know we're not going to be holding them up. They talk about some jurisdictions that it's 30 or 60 days before they get their permits reviewed. So that's, as Chief says, we're not going to be ones holding up development. We are going to be as timely as possible. Food trucks. Food trucks are the bane of our existence. So when I started here, we did 5 or 6 food trucks a year, and it was your snow cones and your hot dog cart. Well, now we have full kitchen cooking systems with type 1 hoods and fire suppression systems. And last year, so we're part of a 9-member Northern Colorado consortium, so 9 fire departments, and we have a reciprocity program. We accept fire permit. So Dave Friedrichsen's better half does an inspection in Windsor for an issues a fire permit. We will accept that. If somebody wants to go to Fort Collins, and we did an inspection, we'll accept that. And last year there were about 100, and we did 123 inspections between the 9 of us just that came to Loveland. So there were a lot more than that, but those food trucks that got permitted in the city of Loveland, there was 123. We did 83 of those inspections. So again, 12 years ago, we're at 5 or 6. And now, and it's a lot of documentation. We work with the clerk's office, we work with the county health, and we work with Parks and Rec to make sure they have everything they need to be legally operating and safely operating in the city of Lebanon. Special events, man, that's a lot of what we do as well. If you add up the numbers, it's around 150 that we either reviewed through the city or county, or we issued our own permit. And then we also follow up with inspections of those, very time consuming. And something that I'm working on for this year is a special events packet, like an information packet, to have everything in there that people are going to know, whether it's going to be flame effects, fireworks, sometimes they have like neighborhood events, like they close the street down and they have their street party for the neighborhood. It's the gamut. And so I really want to make sure that we have all the information for people to make it as easy as possible for them. And then support services, the core requests, there were 169 last year, and those are pretty detailed usually. A lot of times we end up having to send things to Emily's office to make sure that we get the legal sign off on that. So Leah handles all of those, a significant amount of her time. And then 273 bird permits that we issued. Those come through the Renville County Health Department. They have for about 20 years. And then they send it to whatever applicable fire department it is. So yeah, last year we did 273 of those permits. Something that Chief mentioned, assigning inspectors to a specific location. So when Alan Cravey left earlier this year, he was doing all of our new construction inspections. And we had the other inspectors, the 3 inspectors who were just doing annual fire safety inspections. So Alan left, it was a great opportunity to revamp that program. And so now our 3 inspectors, they do everything. They do new construction inspections, they do animal safety, they do hazmat. And instead of, maybe separating it by Boise and Idaho and Wilson or whatever it was, we decided to implement it based on the fire station first due areas. So what is considered the first due area for fire station 1 has a specific inspector assigned to that station. Fire station 2, fire station 3. And the reason I wanted to go this direction, probably the biggest thing, is so our firefighters know who they're supposed to contact. Because if we have kind of an arbitrary geographical area, it makes sense to us, but not them. So they know now if they have a sprinkler break or code question or a Knox box question, they know the first person that they should go to. And like all other good things in the fire service, steal good ideas. It's something Charleston, South Carolina did. It's where Alan Cravey went. He told me about it. And then when we were hiring and implementing, that's the direction we went. I think it's going to be really successful. Questions? How long was that, Chief? Much longer than the 2 hours I wanted, but yes, sir.
Chief Dan, quick question. As one of the guilty parties of probably having 5 burn permits in agriculture, what's the rationale to do it every month? I understand, if there's times you want to do it, times you don't want to do it. But is there any, it used to be it was considerably longer than that to get a burn permit. I mean, not duration of the permit itself. So is there any possibility of that? Because it seems like I hate submitting it because it's just tying up personnel on your end and then the county. Is there any discussion about lengthening the duration of the permits?
So on a case-by-case basis, we will. Occasionally we do that. This is something you can request. Like for example, we have a sweat lodge. And the person comes in, January 2nd every year and gets basically an annual permit. And the reason it's 30 days is that is what Renville County Health Department has.
That's a Renville County issue.
Yep.
Okay.
And they took over the burn permits, like I said, about 20 years ago because it was an air quality issue. And so, but we do have people request, can I do 60 days, 90 days, whatever. It depends on the situation. You have a few of them. And if the applicant can show a good reason why it should be, then.
And it's turned around very quickly. It's not an issue.
It
It's
is,
just
yeah.
tying up personnel to do the
I get
same
it.
thing again. That was
What kind of burn?
it's just small slash piles from ditches.
Okay,
It's a
for the same address?
same address.
Okay, yeah.
Good question.
And that's again, if, there's things that have to be in place, the water source and unimpaired adult, the wind speeds, contact.
Well, maybe that's the problem. Because
That
I'm the
could have been
technical
a problem.
problem.
No. I always throw that in there, yeah, and, as long as people know what the requirements are, and my guess is that in the past, if it was for 6 months or a year, people would kind of forget.
To call in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I can see
that's what would happen, so, yeah, feel free to request that. We can
It's no
definitely
big deal. Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to what we've done and worked collaboratively with the LFRA and the health department is to do a food truck rodeo. So the food trucks come to a specific location and then all of the services that need to inspect them are there at one time. So they don't have to drive their food trucks around it when it's inspected. You were the first ones to sign up to help us with this program, so we appreciate that support.
Chief, question on the county burns and stuff. It seems like there's a lot of small burns that take place, I think, from somebody burning out a tree trunk to a trash can fire and stuff. Do we get complaints in that, and how aggressive are we, and what do we do if it continues to be a problem?
We do get occasional complaints. People call it in And then what typically happens is, an engine company will go out, make contact with the person who's burning. Do they have a burn permit on site? And if they do not, they'll typically have them put it out. But then there are people who are repeat offenders, and either an inspector will follow up, or I'll follow up depending on what the situation is. But yeah,
And we don't ever cite them ourselves. We have these sheriff's department do it. Is that correct?
we cannot write the citation, so it either has to be LCSO, sometimes it's in the city, would be LPD that would be doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're pretty serious about it, and Captain, I don't know if you want to say anything else. It's different.
You already messed up.
Yeah.
He's a friend.
I concur with Chief.
And if I could ask one other question, going back to the commercial properties that we inspect. So do we have a database of some type that has all the businesses in town, like, I mean, every little insurance agency to
They are the worst.
car
ones.
dealership?
They are the worst ones, yeah, and actually, that was when I came here, we didn't really have that. And we have, it was closed, and then when we moved to ERS emergency reporting system, that data transferred, and we updated most of that, so pretty accurate. And now we have a really great process in place that if there is a new building or a new business, that we have, Leah has a whole sheet that the inspectors like fill out all the information, contact information, address, occupancy group, all these different things. And then we make sure that gets in our data management system. Is it 100% accurate? No, but I would say it's probably 95% accurate. And then we also use a third-party company called the Compliance Engine. And they track all of the fire sprinkler and fire alarm inspections, annual inspections, which are required by code. It's a legal requirement. We just do not have the resources to stay on top of that. And so they make sure businesses are getting inspected by a licensed contractor. And then we get that information. If there's deficiencies, we get that information, and then we follow up, our 3 inspectors follow up on that.
I'm gonna say something a little less politically correct. I personally think we need annual business license. Forcing, and I know it's controversial, very controversial. But the point is we don't know what we don't know. We are dealing with a case today that we have somebody who moved into an occupancy without a permit that is putting our firefighters at risk and our community at risk. That building has been red tagged. The person still occupies that building. If we had the opportunity to have them come in, identify themselves as an occupant tenant, okay, on an annual basis, we could update our Knox box keys, we can update our contact information, and we could know what hazards we truly are protecting. Now, the reason it's controversial, and Steve knows much more about this than I do, but the reality is if there's any assessed fee with it, obviously it's perceived as a tax, and I respect that. But somehow, some way, we have got to find a way to identify what's in our community, what we're protecting, and how best to protect it. Because literally, some of these occupancies, when they change out tenants, it is a crapshoot. Our folks are going in there, the sign says Joe and Pete's drugstore. That's one methodology of a fire attack. If it's a hazardous chemical, that's a different form of fire attack. So it's very important, and I know it's controversy, but I think we need to navigate that path at some point in time.
Follow-up question on this. Do we call in advance, or do we opt in on businesses?
Depends. If it's larger, we definitely schedule in advance.
Okay.
Sometimes like Thompson Valley Town Center, our inspector will try and, go to Philly cheesesteak and Papa Murphy's and just make their way down the line and hit as many as we can. If they say, hey, this is not a good time, then we'll come back. It's not a big deal. Most of the time, if it's smaller, we will just show up. If it's bigger, MCR, for example, that's one that we're working on right now. The Forge, we will schedule a time with the property management company to make sure that we go through it.
And are most small businesses receptive when firefighters show up at the door and they don't see it as an intrusion or?
They're usually pretty good. And like I said, our inspectors are really, really good. They have great people skills, and they use it as a teaching opportunity as well. Have you ever used a fire extinguisher? Let me give you a brief instruction on how to use it. And we really try, we say educate first. Educate when we can, enforce when we have to. And so our number one choice is always trying to educate. You get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. And we try to represent Loveland Fire really well. And I think 99.9% of the time that's what happens.
Thank you.
And going back to what Chief said too, with no business licenses. What happens a lot is we show up to do an inspection, or the business owner contacts us and says, hey, I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. We show up, we're dealing with a woodworking shop up north now, totally different one. We had no idea that they had moved in there. And so now the building department needs to take them through the building permit process. We need to make sure they have sprinkler alarm systems that are modified to make what they do. And so they're already in the building and now we're persona non grata because we have to go back and say, oh, time out. You have to do these things. Well, the real estate agent said it was fine if I moved in here. And so we're kind of the ones left holding the bag. Like I said, I think we do a pretty darn good job trying to help people through that process. But it really puts us behind the 8 ball, and it's hard to do that sometimes. We get businesses who have been in there for 8 or 10 years. We didn't know that they were there without a permit. And so, yeah, that's a tough spot to be in. And the sprinkler save was at the new St. Valentine Apartments, across from the police station. That was last Friday. There was a welcome basket that was on the stove. Somehow a burner got turned on and a single sprinkler put it out. So much better than having one or multiple units burned and out of service for weeks.
And as a follow-up to that, we're gonna ask for the opportunity to do fire safety training for that staff. Because that is gonna be a free, very high frequency facility based on the clientele. So we're gonna try to intervene on that, and do some fire safety training, which I hope we can also incorporate FOS into that program.
Any other questions?
Director Mallow, nothing from you? Nothing from
I
you?
just appreciate listening to it.
Okay,
Samantha.
all right.
Not fire chief. We're from the same hometown. All right. Mohawk guys, right?
Mohawks.
Mohawk, oh, I was close. I had to speak.
Okay, open it up to board. Any other board consideration or business, Steve?
Now, I was wondering, Mr. Chair, if I could make a few comments.
Yeah, please do.
Being my last meeting here. I wanted to let you know first that Roderick Winsing has been appointed as acting city manager. He will be at your next meeting. So he seats in my stead as that because of the appointment in the IGA we have. He's here. So he's looking forward to that. We already had our first meeting together already. And so he's looking forward to that opportunity. I wanted to thank the LFRA board and the Rule Board and FRAC also for all the things they've worked on. I remember being here in 1994 when I started working with the fire department, and we worked together on the ISO ranking, and half of that ranking is the fire system. The other half is the fire department. And so a lot of points we were losing because we had some areas in town that weren't up to snuff as far as needing some improvements. And so the fire department worked with us and identified those areas with us. And we worked through a pretty aggressive capital campaign to get those places moved up into a higher category of water flow, which helped in the ISO ranking. So that collaboration, we appreciated over the years. Every few years now, it seems like it's run more organized than I remember it before, because it's all on a computer, it's all on graphics, it's all on GIS, it's all there. And it's just updating smaller things instead of starting over with almost paper copies back. I enjoyed that and working with the team during that process. We also enjoyed the work of finding our 2 fire stations, 7 and 10, and also 3 we're working on now. Had a hearing on that for land use, so we're on our way with that one. And also all the condition assessment opportunities we've had to improve the fire stations that we own and you occupy now, and having improvements made to those as well. We also had building permit issues. I was going to talk a little bit with Chief Dan about that, but also all of those opportunities that came from Amazon. We were approached by Amazon when they came forward to us And they had a new fire suppression system they used successfully in other states at that time. And this fire department took a look at that independently, and she really took the lead with the team and Chief Sparks to look at that process and see and make sure it was okay for this building almost 3.8 million square feet. So it was an entirely different approach, very innovative, and we appreciated the support that was given to us by the team from LFRA to do that. We also had several trials and tribulations with people that are in places they shouldn't be in. And that has also helped us work through that process better now. And on building permits particularly, and looking for things that we want to do. The business license program, you're right, we did try and roll that out last year. We have a new council now. I don't know if they're how receptive they'll be to that, but we had a lot of bit of feedback from our property owners, and the things we looked at were the benefit of having you in a database as a business when you have an emergency and access to grants and federal funding and things to help recover quicker. The other part of that, of course, is this licensing, occupancy type, and so forth when it changes. We do have brochures and things that we've developed to inform business owners when they change a license process with us in the building department. Also look to the fire department because there is something there about occupancy limits and loading and things that they need to be aware of. So we also worked on that. Saw Gina back there in the back. Thank you for all the support over the years for our airport. When I came there, somebody said we got an ARF. And is that like BARF or TARF or SARF? And they go, no, it's big. It's really cool to watch. And so it was neat to see. I was able to participate in 3 emergency management certifications that our airport went through, and having that vehicle come out and make the first response and contact with the fire that was started. Imagining a long linear bus being the fuselage of an airplane at the time. But I think that was great, and that cooperation between the fire department and our airport, similar to helping us with what you do with the city itself too. So I appreciate all that. And then also the working opportunities to get things done here as a board member with the rule board and all the things that we have, because a lot of our work we've spent out there has been with that. And so with that, I thank you all for this opportunity to serve on this board. It's been great to work with the board members and particularly the staff and going through all the issues we've gone through over the years. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Mr. Chairman, Steve is making his rounds this week to all the departments, so what we wanted to do is take you to our home, the Bay, and share our comments with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other business to come before the board? Okay, hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. I didn't say out back.
Out back. Oh, and also thank you for the cake yesterday.
Yes.
I didn't get any, thank you. Oh, thank you.